What if money isn't just paper, numbers, salary, or bills, but energy? Energy that reflects your dreams, your fears, your habits, your self-worth, and the story you tell yourself about success. Maria Nemeth's The Energy of Money isn't just another personal finance manual. It's a powerful spiritual guide that reveals something most of us never learn. Your financial life is a mirror of your inner life. If you feel guilt around money, if you feel like you're always chasing but never catching up, if you start things but don't finish them, if you know what you want but something inside keeps holding you back, Nemeth argues that the problem isn't education, upbringing, or outside circumstances. The problem is unresolved internal conversations about who we think we are. And here's the truth that hits hard. Most people don't fail financially because of lack of intelligence. They fail because of unconscious beliefs, emotional blocks, fears, and old patterns that sabotage their progress before they ever reach their goals. This book shines a light on those hidden forces. Nemeth blends psychology, spiritual wisdom, neuroscience, and real-world coaching experience to help you stop fighting money, remove the emotional baggage around wealth, clarify what you truly want, create goals you'll actually achieve, transform your relationship with work, wealth, and meaning, live a life of purpose and financial ease. She teaches that money is neutral. It's a tool, a current, a river of energy that flows through your life. When you learn to work with it, not struggle against it, money becomes a powerful ally for your dreams instead of a source of stress. Throughout the book, you'll learn why unfinished business drains your creative power, how procrastination hides deep emotional patterns, why clarity is the most valuable wealth tool, how fear disguises itself as logic, why action, not thinking, is the real breakthrough, how to align money with your purpose, values, and higher self, and most importantly, how to create financial success without losing your peace, joy, or soul. This book is not just about earning more. It's about becoming the kind of person who can handle more. A person who is confident, grounded, abundant, and spiritually aligned with their goals. If you've ever felt like you should be farther in life, you're tired of struggling, you want financial growth that feels meaningful, you know you're capable of more, but something keeps blocking you, then this journey will feel like finally turning on the lights in a dark room. In this audiobook-style summary, we'll go chapter by chapter through the psychology of money, the spiritual laws of prosperity, the internal enemies that drain success, practical exercises and tools, real steps you can use starting today. So take a breath, sit back, and get ready for a financial transformation that goes deeper than numbers, straight to who you are becoming. Chapter 1. Life's Work, the first form of energy. Chapter 1 lays the foundation for the entire book by introducing a profound idea. Your money problems are not money problems. They are life problems showing up in financial form. Maria Nemeth explains that everything in life is made of energy: our time, money, effort, focus, dreams, and emotional experiences. And the first major form of energy that determines the quality of our financial life is your life's work. But she doesn't define life's work as just your job or paycheck. Instead, it's what you are here to create. It's your contribution to the world. It's how you convert your potential into physical results. Money, then, becomes a reflection of how effectively you turn inner energy, dreams, plans, ambitions, into real-world outcomes. The two worlds you live in. In this chapter, Maria Nemeth explains that every human being operates in two different worlds simultaneously. 1. The world of thoughts, inner world. This world contains ideas, goals, dreams, creative visions, intentions, imagination. In this world, anything feels possible. You can picture yourself wealthy, successful, free,
fulfilled, confident. There are no limits in the inner world. But this is where most people stay, stuck in the fantasy of what they will someday do. 2. The world of physical reality, outer world. This world is very different. Here we deal with timelines, bank balances, performance, responsibilities, deadlines, results, bills, physical effort. This world demands action. It doesn't care what you meant to do, only what you actually do. Nemeth argues, success comes from learning how to move energy from the inner world into the outer world, consistently and deliberately. People who struggle financially aren't weak, lazy, or stupid. They simply never learned how to translate their inner brilliance into outer results. Where energy gets lost, the internal barrier. Nemeth describes a painful truth. Most people generate powerful dreams, but lose the energy long before anything manifests. Why? Because there's a hidden barrier between the two worlds, the psychological resistance that arises the moment we try to turn vision into action. This resistance appears as fear, anxiety, self-doubt, imposter syndrome, confusion, excuses, procrastination. I'll start tomorrow. I need more time, money, or skills. Nemeth calls this the Great Barrier, and it's the graveyard where countless dreams go to die. The 3 voices that block success. When trying to turn dreams into results, 3 destructive internal voices often appear. 1. The controller. This voice says, everything must go perfectly before I begin, so you wait for perfect conditions instead of starting now. 2. The skeptic. This voice says, this won't work. Who are you kidding? It uses logic to hide fear. 3. The victim. This voice says, life is unfair. I'm just unlucky. Other people have it easier. This voice removes power and personal agency, making progress impossible. If one of these voices dominates your life, your financial success will always be limited, no matter how smart or hardworking you are. The key insight. Money issues never begin with money. They begin with blocked life energy. If you want better finances, you must first learn how to focus your inner energy, move it into consistent outer action, and keep going even when resistance appears. This is a psychological and spiritual discipline, not a financial one. Money is a magnifying glass. Maria Nemeth states that money doesn't change who you are, it amplifies who you are. If you are unfocused, scattered, easily overwhelmed, inconsistent, more money won't fix that. It will just disappear faster. But if you are clear, grounded, action-driven, confident, responsible, money becomes a tool that multiplies your impact. Quotes from Chapter 1. Some key lines that capture the essence. Money is like a river carrying the energy we have generated into the world. The world rewards those who turn inner intentions into outer results. Most of us are trained to think about money, but not trained to act with money. Dreams without action drain emotional energy. Practical exercises from Chapter 1. Maria Nemeth gives real assignments. Here are simplified versions adapted for your audience. Exercise 1. Name your current life's work. Answer: what am I contributing to the world right now? What result am I creating with my time and effort? Is this aligned with the person I want to become? Writing this down gives clarity. Exercise 2. Identify your inner voices. Ask, which voice shows up most, controller, skeptic, or victim? Write one recent example of how that voice blocked a financial or career goal. Exercise 3. Move one dream into physical reality. Choose one goal you've been thinking about and take one small physical action within 24 hours. Not planning, not researching, not thinking. Action. Nemeth teaches action is the cure for fear. Major lessons from Chapter 1. Wealth begins with learning how to manage energy, not money. Life happens in two worlds. Success depends on bridging the gap between them. Resistance is normal. What matters is pushing through the psychological barrier. Money becomes easier when you master execution and finish what you start. Financial life improves when personal patterns improve. Why Chapter 1 matters? This chapter sets up the entire message of the book. To change your money, you must first change yourself. This is not a story of earning more. It is a story of becoming more.
Chapter 2. The Three Realms of Reality. In The Energy of Money, Chapter 2, Maria Nemeth introduces a powerful framework that becomes the foundation for the rest of the book, The Three Realms of Reality. She explains that our success, fulfillment, and relationship with money depend on understanding how these realms work together and how we often get stuck in the wrong one. This chapter helps the reader recognize where their dreams live, where their fears live, and where real results show up. The Three Realms Explained. Maria divides human experience into the physical realm, the metaphysical realm, and the transitional realm. Let's explore each in detail. The metaphysical realm, the realm of thoughts, dreams, and possibilities. This is the invisible world, the inner universe where ideas are born, visions are imagined, dreams feel possible, inspiration and clarity arrive. Here, everything is limitless. There are no bills, no deadlines, no consequences. In this realm, you can envision starting a business, becoming financially independent, losing weight, writing a book, changing your life. This is where most people feel powerful, motivated, and optimistic. But Maria warns, nothing exists here unless you bring it into the physical realm. Dreams without action stay dreams. The physical realm, the world of results. This is the concrete, material world, the place where bank accounts exist. Money comes in and goes out. Projects are completed. Books get written. Businesses generate revenue. Habits take form. In the physical realm, results replace ideas. Proof replaces promise. Effort replaces inspiration. Here, spiritual insight must be converted into measurable output. Many people struggle because they stay trapped in thinking, planning, visioning, but rarely follow through. Maria's message is straightforward. Life rewards action. Dreams only matter when translated into reality. The transitional realm, the bridge between idea and outcome. This is where most people get stuck. The transitional realm is the place between vision and execution, the hallway between the dream and the done, the arena where fear and resistance appear. Examples of the transitional realm are: you start writing a business plan and suddenly doubt yourself. You open your bank account and feel anxiety. You create a goal and immediately fear failure. You begin a project and lose motivation halfway. Maria describes this realm as the arena of emotional discomfort, because here the ego steps in and says, "Who do you think you are? You failed before. This is too hard. Maybe later." And most dreams die in this space, not because people are incapable, but because they never push through emotional friction. Why we struggle with money in the transitional realm. Money is emotionally charged. It triggers shame, fear, past failures, scarcity thinking, childhood conditioning. So when someone tries to create new financial habits, saving, budgeting, investing, they often retreat the moment discomfort appears. Maria says, your relationship with money is not a financial struggle. It is an emotional one. If you want to succeed financially, you must learn to stay in the transition long enough for results to form. A powerful story from the chapter. Maria shares the story of a woman who dreamed of launching a wellness business. She spent years journaling about her vision, planning her business model, designing logos, reading books, taking courses, but she never took action. She lived in the metaphysical realm, the world where everything looks perfect, but nothing happens. When asked why, she confessed, "I'm afraid that once I try, I'll discover I'm not good enough." This is the transitional realm at work. The fear of reality prevents movement. But once she learned to tolerate emotional discomfort, emails, marketing, exposure, her business came alive. Maria uses this to illustrate action is the price of entry into the physical world. The ultimate lesson of Chapter 2. Real fulfillment requires mastery across all three realms. Dream in the metaphysical, act in the physical, grow emotionally in the transitional. Most people either stay in their heads and never act chaotically without vision, or give up when resistance appears. The ones who succeed cross the bridge. Practical applications from Chapter 2. 1. Feel the resistance anyway. Discomfort is a sign of growth, not danger. 2. Translate one idea into a physical action. Even a small step, a saved dollar, a business email, a one-page outline, begins the shift. 3. Notice which realm you tend to live in. Are you a dreamer, a planner, a thinker, or someone who commits and delivers? Awareness is the first breakthrough. 4. Remember, physical reality is the scoreboard. If nothing changed on the outside, the inner work is incomplete. Conclusion. Chapter 2 teaches that dreams are easy, action is hard, transformation happens in the uncomfortable middle. Mastering this process is the foundation of spiritual and financial success. When you learn to stay in the transitional realm long enough, everything in your life begins to shift toward real results.
Chapter 3. Facing the Monkey Mind, the Inner Voice That Sabotages Success. In Chapter 3 of The Energy of Money, Maria Nemeth introduces one of the most important psychological concepts in the book, the monkey mind. This is the inner voice that doubts you, panics, creates fear, makes excuses, keeps you small, blocks you from taking action. The monkey mind is responsible for stopping people from fulfilling their financial, career, and personal goals, even when they already know what to do. This chapter teaches how to recognize this voice, understand why it behaves the way it does, and most importantly, how to stop letting it run your life. What is the monkey mind? Maria borrows the concept from ancient Buddhist teachings. The monkey mind is restless, emotional, reactive, fear-driven, always trying to protect you from discomfort. Its mission is simple: keep you safe, even if that means keeping you stuck. Whenever you are about to expand, take a risk, grow, or move towards success, the monkey mind starts screaming, "What if you fail? What will people think? You don't know enough. This is risky. You've never done this before. Maybe tomorrow." And most people believe it. Why the monkey mind shows up? Maria explains an important truth. Growth triggers insecurity. Whenever you attempt something new, like investing money, starting a business, setting boundaries, asking for a raise, changing spending habits, your nervous system interprets this as danger. The monkey mind then dumps anxiety into your body, creates storylines of fear, pushes you back towards the familiar. It doesn't care if you stay broke, unhappy, or unfulfilled. It only cares that nothing changes. The monkey mind and money. Maria says money activates the monkey mind almost instantly because money represents survival. It is tied to family conditioning. It triggers old wounds. It measures status and belonging. It reflects self-worth. So the moment you try to manage money consciously, budgeting, saving, investing, paying off debt, the monkey mind panics. It says, "This is too complicated. You'll never get ahead. People like you don't become wealthy. Enjoy life now, worry later." This inner voice keeps millions of people financially stuck. The monkey mind thrives in the transitional realm. In Chapter 2, we learned that the hardest place is between idea and execution.
That is where discomfort shows up. Fear becomes loud. Emotional resistance explodes. And that is exactly where the monkey mind is strongest. Maria explains, the monkey mind does not mind you having big dreams. It only objects when you take action. This is why many people love visioning, journaling, motivational books, planning, but avoid phone calls, budgeting, investing, showing up, taking the next physical step. The monkey mind can tolerate fantasy. It cannot tolerate action. Different voices of the monkey mind. Maria identifies several common patterns. 1. The perfectionist. If it's not perfect, don't start. 2. The critic. You're not good enough. 3. The worrier. Something bad will happen. 4. The procrastinator. You'll do it later. 5. The people pleaser. Don't upset anyone. Stay quiet. 6. The victim. Life is unfair. Why bother? These identities aren't real, just survival strategies. A story from the chapter. Maria shares the example of a man who dreamed of becoming financially independent. He had degrees, skills, opportunities, but every time he tried to start a project, invest, or build a business, his monkey mind whispered, "You failed before. Why embarrass yourself again?" He believed that voice for 10 years. Only when he learned to see the monkey mind as a scared part of himself, not the truth, did he finally move forward. Within 2 years, his income doubled. The lesson? Your results change the moment you stop believing the voice of fear. How to deal with the monkey mind. Maria provides several practical tools. 1. Notice it without fighting it. Your monkey mind is not the enemy. Silencing it only makes it louder. Instead, observe it. Label it. Don't fuse with it. Like, that's my fear talking. Awareness dissolves its power. 2. Thank it for trying to protect you. This reduces emotional resistance. Say something like, "Thank you, but I'm taking this step anyway." 3. Move forward while afraid. The goal is not to eliminate fear, but to take aligned action while fear exists. Maria teaches, courage is not the absence of fear. It is moving with the fear. 4. Use clarity as the antidote. The monkey mind feeds on confusion, vague goals, lack of direction. So the solution is clear commitments, clear numbers, clear timelines, clear next steps. Clarity quiets chaos. The key shift of Chapter 3. Maria wants the reader to awaken to this truth. Your inner voice is not you. The monkey mind is a survival mechanism, a predictable reaction, a frightened child trying to keep control. But the real you is conscious, capable, creative, powerful. Once you separate your identity from your fears, something miraculous happens. You can choose action even when afraid. You stop abandoning your goals. Progress becomes consistent. Money becomes easier to manage. Opportunities grow. Practical application exercises. 1. Name the monkey mind. Give it a name to reduce its power. For example, the panicked accountant, the drama queen, the inner critic. Humor breaks the emotional grip. 2. Ask, what is this voice protecting me from? Fear is always trying to prevent rejection, embarrassment, uncertainty, loss of identity. Understanding this softens self-judgment. 3. Take one step anyway. Even a tiny action proves you control your life, not the fear. Conclusion of Chapter 3. Chapter 3 teaches that every human has an inner voice of fear. It becomes loud during growth. Most financial failure is emotional, not mathematical. Awareness plus action equals freedom. Master your monkey mind, and you unlock your ability to turn dreams into reality.
Chapter 4. The Blueprint. How Your Life Plan Shapes Your Money. In Chapter 4 of The Energy of Money, Maria Nemeth helps readers understand a powerful truth. Your financial results are not created by effort alone. They are created by the internal blueprints you follow. This chapter explains how unconscious beliefs, habits, emotional filters, and mindset patterns create the life plan you are currently living, whether that plan leads toward fulfillment or toward struggle. Your life blueprint runs the show. Maria says every person operates from a life blueprint. which is a collection of childhood lessons, cultural conditioning, parental beliefs, emotional experiences, repeated thoughts, internal conclusions about the world. This blueprint determines how much you believe you deserve, how hard or easy you think money is, whether you see opportunities or obstacles, how you respond to fear, how you handle challenges, how much wealth you allow yourself to have. It is invisible, but it shapes everything. Your blueprint was not created consciously. Maria reminds us, children absorb beliefs without evaluation. They don't analyze, they imitate. For example, if you grew up hearing, "Rich people are greedy. Money causes problems. We can't afford that. People like us never become wealthy." Those statements become emotional truths, even if they are logically false. As an adult, this inner blueprint influences decisions, risk tolerance, financial confidence, earning potential, spending habits. Most people live their entire lives never questioning these old programs. The blueprint creates predictable results. Maria gives a powerful equation. Your thoughts create feelings, drive actions, create results. So, if the blueprint says, "Money is dangerous," you will unconsciously avoid investing, avoid budgeting, spend impulsively, stay small, reject opportunities. If the blueprint says, "I don't deserve wealth," you may undercharge, not ask for raises, stay silent in meetings, feel guilty earning more, sabotage success. Your results always reflect the inner pattern. A story from the chapter. Maria shares the story of a woman who was earning well, but always found herself ending the year in debt. No matter how much she earned, she saved nothing, she spent recklessly, she lived in anxiety. During coaching, she remembered her father telling her repeatedly, "Money changes people. Don't become one of those wealthy snobs." As a child, she concluded, having money equals losing love and belonging. So, as an adult, she unconsciously spent money as fast as it came, ensured she never had too much. When she rewrote her blueprint, everything changed. Within 2 years, she built savings, paid off debt, raised her income, felt peace around money. The problem had never been income. It was the blueprint running quietly in the background. The blueprint lives in the subconscious. Maria explains, we do not think our financial beliefs, we reenact them. These beliefs appear as emotional reactions, gut resistance, panic when making decisions, shame when discussing money, procrastination, fear of financial visibility. Most people don't realize they are not reacting to the present. They are reacting to childhood conclusions. Why awareness is the turning point. The blueprint remains powerful until it is seen clearly. Maria says, when a belief is brought into the light, its grip begins to weaken. Awareness gives you choice, control, power, responsibility, freedom. Once you understand the pattern, you can rewrite it. How to identify your blueprint? Maria offers several questions to uncover silent beliefs. 1. What did the adults around you say about money? For example, money doesn't grow on trees. Rich people are selfish. Life is a struggle. Don't expect too much. Those shape destiny. 2. How did your family handle financial stress? Silence? Arguments? Panic? Avoidance? Shame? Children learn not just from words, but from emotional atmosphere. 3. What stories did you tell yourself as a child? For example, if I earn more, they'll be angry. Success makes me different. I shouldn't want too much. Those stories become adult behavior. 4. What financial results repeat in your life? Patterns reveal beliefs. For instance, always in debt, income plateaus, losing money right after earning more, starting strong but quitting, feeling guilt about financial success. These are not accidents. They are evidence of a blueprint in action. Your blueprint always seeks homeostasis. Maria explains, Your inner system tries to keep you consistent with the old identity. If your blueprint says, "I am someone who struggles financially," then even if you get a better job, increase revenue, receive unexpected money, your subconscious will create situations to bring you back to financial struggle. This is not self-hate, it is psychological survival. The old identity feels safe because it is familiar. Rewriting the blueprint. Maria teaches that transformation requires 1. Noticing the inherited belief, without judgment. 2. Asking, "Is this true or just familiar?" Most beliefs are inherited, not chosen. 3. Creating a new conscious principle. For example, money allows me to serve. Wealth and love can coexist. I deserve financial well-being. 4. Acting from the new principle. Because beliefs change through behavior, not just insight. The major shift of Chapter 4. Maria summarizes a core lesson. You are not the person who created your money blueprint, but you are the only person who can rewrite it. Once people awaken to this idea, fear becomes manageable, money becomes neutral, success feels possible, control returns. This chapter is about reclaiming authorship of your financial story. Practical exercises. 1. Write down the money rules you heard growing up. Examples are, work hard but don't expect too much. Money is for survival, not happiness. Seeing them on paper is powerful. 2. Identify where these rules still show up. In spending, saving, earning, investing, self-worth. 3. Create new empowering money principles. Examples are, I am capable of building wealth. Money expands my ability to contribute. I can be wealthy and humble. Say them daily and act in alignment. Conclusion of Chapter 4. This chapter establishes a foundational truth. Money problems are rarely money problems. They are blueprint problems. Rewrite the inner pattern and external results begin to transform rapidly.
Chapter 5. Facing the Dragons. Overcoming fear, doubt, and emotional sabotage around money. Chapter 5 of The Energy of Money takes us deeper into the heart of why people struggle financially, not because they lack intelligence or opportunity, but because they are constantly battling inner dragons. Maria describes these dragons as the emotional forces that rise up whenever you move toward a goal that stretches you. They are ancient, subconscious alarms that try to keep you safe by keeping you small. This chapter is powerful, emotional, transformative, because it finally explains why you know what to do, yet still don't do it. The dragons are internal, not external. Maria explains that every person has inner dragons such as fear, doubt, shame, guilt, confusion, resistance, procrastination, anxiety, avoidance. These are not signs you are weak or broken. They are simply signals that you're moving outside your old identity. Your dragons appear whenever you try to save money, ask for a raise, charge what you're worth, start a business, pay off debt, invest, set boundaries, say no, say yes to more. Your brain interprets growth as danger, so it releases emotional dragons to pull you back. The dragon of fear. This is the most common. Fear says you'll fail, you're not ready, you're not smart enough, you'll lose everything. This is too risky. Maria says fear isn't the problem. It's your relationship with fear. Fear is simply a sign that something meaningful is at stake. The dragon of doubt. Doubt whispers, you don't deserve this. Who do you think you are? Other people can do it, but not you. This dragon comes from old childhood experiences of not being seen, supported, or validated. It's not telling the truth. It's repeating the past. The dragon of shame. Shame says, you're behind. You should be further in life. You messed up too much to fix it now. Shame is the dragon that freezes your energy. Maria calls shame the great paralyzer. It makes you want to hide instead of take action. The dragon of guilt. Guilt often activates when you spend on yourself, you earn more than your parents, you want to be wealthy, you set boundaries, you say no, you say yes to more. Guilt tries to convince you if you succeed too much, someone else will suffer. This is a lie. Abundance isn't a pie. It's a river. There is enough for everyone. The dragon of resistance. This dragon shows up as procrastination, excuses, endless planning. I'll do it later. Starting, but not finishing. Resistance is a sign you are close to a breakthrough. Maria teaches, where there is resistance, there is gold hidden underneath. The dragons protect your old identity. This is one of Maria's most profound teachings. The dragons aren't here to destroy you. They are here to protect who you used to be. Your old identity cannot survive the new goals you're aiming for. So your dragons try to pull you back to familiar territory. When you feel a dragon rising, it means you're on the right path. You're expanding. You're breaking old patterns. The presence of dragons is a positive sign. A story from the chapter. Maria tells the story of a man who wanted to start a small business. He worked hard, planned carefully, talked to mentors. But every time he got close to taking real action, he suddenly felt anxious, got too busy, had new excuses, felt confused. He thought something was wrong with him. Maria showed him that these reactions were just dragons protecting him from leaving his old identity as an employee who stays safe. Once he understood the dragons were predictable, not personal, everything shifted. He took action. He launched the business. He succeeded. His dragons still appeared, but now he recognized them and moved anyway. Dragons show up when you make a promise. Maria says the moment you make a commitment, like, I will save $1,000, I will raise my income, I will pay off debt, I will invest every month, dragons appear immediately. Why? Because commitments create tension. The gap between where you are and where you want to be activates emotional defenses. This is normal. This is expected. This is transformation. The 3 dragon fighting tools. Maria gives readers several powerful tools to deal with dragons. 1. The light of awareness. When a dragon appears, don't fight it. Instead, name it. Recognize it. Observe it. Awareness weakens emotional charge. For example, I'm feeling fear. That means I'm expanding. This instantly shifts your relationship with the emotion. 2. Small physical actions. Maria teaches, dragons cannot survive physical reality. Meaning, make the phone call, send the email, write the budget, transfer the savings, look at your account, sign the form. Physical action brings you into the present moment. Dragons live in your imagination, not in reality. 3. Compassion toward yourself. This is huge. Instead of judging emotions, Maria teaches self-kindness. Say things like, it's okay to feel afraid. I am human. This means I'm growing. I can move slowly. Self-compassion disarms emotional resistance. The spiritual perspective. Maria integrates a spiritual truth that your dragons appear not to stop you, but to help you grow strong enough to handle the success you're stepping into. Your dragons are teachers. They prepare you for the abundance, responsibility, and impact your next level requires. Major lessons from Chapter 5. Emotional obstacles are predictable. They appear whenever you stretch into something new. Fear and doubt are signs of expansion. They mean you're moving towards something meaningful. Dragons are not personal defects. They are old survival mechanisms. You don't have to eliminate your dragons. You only need to recognize and move through them. Action is the antidote to emotional paralysis. Self-compassion makes you stronger, not weaker. Your dragons appear right before breakthroughs. You must outgrow your old identity to step into wealth. Practical exercises for Chapter 5. 1. Identify your top 3 dragons. Examples: fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of scarcity, shame about past money mistakes, guilt around earning more than your family. List them clearly. 2. Write down how each dragon shows up. For example, fear, I avoid looking at my bank statements. Shame, I feel sick when thinking about debt. Doubt, I keep lowering my prices. 3. Choose one small physical action. Make the payment. Open a savings account. Ask for an opportunity. Have a money conversation. Make a budget. Research an investment. Action dissolves emotional fog. 4. Practice one sentence of compassion. Examples: it's okay to feel scared. I can move slowly. I don't need to be perfect. Your nervous system will calm immediately. Conclusion of Chapter 5. This chapter teaches an essential truth. Your financial transformation is not just a strategy issue. It is an emotional journey. Your dragons are not enemies. They are thresholds. And every time you move past one, you reclaim a piece of your power.
Chapter 6. The Power of Clear Intention, Directing the Energy of Money with Purpose. Chapter 6 of The Energy of Money marks a turning point in Maria Nemeth's teaching. Up to now, the book has focused on inner blocks, emotional resistance, old blueprints, self-sabotage, subconscious programs. Now she introduces the tool that transforms all of it: intention. She defines intention not as a wish, a dream, or a fantasy, but as a focused, conscious direction of energy. When you set a clear intention for your money, life, or career, you stop reacting to circumstances and begin creating them. This chapter explains what intention really means, why most people never set real intentions, how intention directs the flow of money, how clarity translates into physical results, how small actions turn intentions into reality, why most people don't set intentions. Maria explains that most people hope, wish, daydream, fantasize, complain, react, drift, see what happens, but they do not set intentional direction. Why? Because the moment you set a real intention, the dragons appear, the blueprint gets triggered, the ego gets scared, the subconscious panics. You realize, now I'm responsible for the outcome. So most people avoid commitment completely. They stay in, someday, I want to, it would be nice if, maybe later. Maria calls this living life in the hallway, never going through the door. The difference between fantasy and intention. Maria makes a strong distinction. Fantasy lives in your head, requires no action, feels good temporarily, doesn't threaten your identity, produces nothing. Intention lives in the real world, demands action, creates resistance, requires growth, produces measurable results. A fantasy sounds like, I want to be financially free. An intention sounds like, I will save $15,000 over the next 12 months. Fantasies are emotion-driven. Intentions are action-driven. The moment of declaration. Maria shares that something energetic happens the moment you set an intention. Life begins reorganizing. Opportunities start appearing. People show up. Unexpected insights emerge. Clarity increases, not because of magic, but because your mind becomes oriented toward a target, just like a guided missile, a GPS, a laser aimer. Once you set a direction, your brain starts filtering out everything except what helps you achieve it. This is the reticular activating system at work. Intention requires a yes and a no. Maria emphasizes that every intentional yes must be accompanied by 1,000 no's. For example, intentional money management may require saying no to impulse spending, saying no to needless subscriptions, saying no to living above your means, saying no to distractions, saying no to procrastination. Every goal has a cost. Not necessarily money, but energy, focus, time, and commitment. Clarity creates speed.
Maria writes that the clearer the intention, the faster energy moves into form. Clarity reduces chaos, indecision, emotional turmoil, anxiety, internal conflict. Once you know exactly what you intend to create, you cut through resistance like a hot knife through butter. A story from Chapter 6. Maria tells the story of a man who wanted to earn more income. He talked about it constantly. I need to make more money. I want to provide better for my family. Something has to change. But nothing changed for years. Maria asked, "What specifically do you intend to earn?" He stared blankly. He had never turned the wish into a measurable intention. After working with her, he declared, "I intend to increase my income by $20,000 in the next 12 months. Within 3 months, he took new action. He reached out to new contacts. He stopped procrastinating. He began asking for opportunities. Within 7 months, he had exceeded the goal. The breakthrough wasn't skill, it was clarity. Intentions must be grounded in reality. Maria warns against spiritual bypassing, such as visioning without acting, affirming without doing, planning without executing. Intention is not attracting money through vibes, manifesting by wishing, dreaming your way into success. Intention only becomes real when body and behavior enter the process, meaning phone calls, budgets, proposals, saving plans, payments, meetings, habits. In Maria's words, intention without action is hallucination. The 4 components of a powerful intention. Maria gives a simple but powerful formula. 1. Clear goal, specific, measurable outcome. 2. Time frame. When will it happen? 3. Accountability. What will track progress? 4. Physical action. What will you actually do? Example, I will save $500 each month into my emergency account starting this week and check progress every Sunday. That's a real intention. It lives in the physical universe. The 2 worlds, spiritual versus physical. Maria divides life into the spiritual world, thoughts, dreams, ideas, imagination, possibility, and the physical world, action, time, effort, behavior, measurable results. Many people get stuck in the spiritual world because it is painless, it is unlimited, no risk exists, no failure can happen. But money only responds to activity in the physical world. No amount of journaling, meditating, visualizing will replace saving, budgeting, investing, selling, learning, working. The most successful people in the world are good at moving ideas from the spiritual world into the physical world fast. How to turn intention into results. Maria gives a 3-step roadmap. 1. Choose a direction, not the whole path, just the next step. 2. Declare it, to yourself and ideally someone else. 3. Move energy daily. Even small steps count. She teaches direction is more important than intensity. Tiny daily moves beat occasional heroic efforts. Major lessons from Chapter 6. Intention is the conscious direction of energy. Most people never set real intentions. They fantasize. A true intention exists only when action is attached to it. Clarity collapses confusion. Intention summons resistance. This is normal. Your brain will begin filtering the world based on your intentions. Small actions make intentions real. Moving an idea from imagination to physical behavior is the essence of transformation. Practical exercises for Chapter 6. 1. Write one financial intention clearly. For example, I intend to build a $10,000 emergency fund within 18 months. 2. Break it into weekly actions. For example, every Friday I will transfer $110 into my savings account. 3. Track progress, weekly or monthly. 4. Declare it to someone. Accountability increases follow-through dramatically. Conclusion of Chapter 6. This chapter teaches that dreams inspire, desires excite, goals motivate, but intentions transform. Once energy is directed toward a clear target, life begins to shift. Not because the universe magically rewards you, but because you begin acting like a person who creates results in the real world.
Chapter 7. Clearing the Path, Removing Obstacles to Success. For many people, the greatest barriers to abundance aren't external. It's not the economy, lack of opportunity, or lack of education. Instead, the biggest obstacles are internal: fears, old beliefs, procrastination, and emotional resistance. In this chapter, Maria Nemeth emphasizes that if you want money to flow smoothly in your life, you must first identify and remove the blocks that interrupt that flow. The real barriers are inside. Maria explains that every one of us carries self-limiting conversations, the internal voice that says, "I'm not capable. I'll fail anyway. I don't know where to start. People like me don't become wealthy." These beliefs operate like invisible walls, powerful enough to keep a person stuck even when external opportunities are available. She calls this the quitting point, the moment when people retreat just when real progress is possible. Most people don't quit because the path is impossible. They quit because discomfort arises, and they assume that discomfort is a sign to stop. But discomfort is not a sign of failure. It's a sign of growth. The power of acknowledgement. Before removing obstacles, Maria says we must do one thing: acknowledge them honestly. Most people pretend their challenges don't exist, blame others, justify their struggles, delay taking responsibility. But acknowledgement is the first stage of liberation. When you acknowledge a problem without excuses, you treat it like a real obstacle that can be handled, not an emotional monster. A simple method she recommends: write down the money-related fears, patterns, or thoughts that are holding you back. Once written, you can work with them logically instead of emotionally. The voice of survival. Maria says the human brain has a primitive survival voice whose job is to protect us from harm, but it cannot distinguish between threats to survival, threats to comfort. Therefore, trying something new, starting a business, negotiating a raise, learning investing, may trigger fear even when it isn't dangerous. When people react emotionally, that voice becomes louder and begins controlling decisions. The solution? Recognize that fear is natural, but don't obey it blindly. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's the decision to move forward anyway. Procrastination is a major wealth block. Maria states that procrastination is not laziness. It is the emotional discomfort of facing something that matters. People procrastinate on actions that have potential for transformation, such as creating a budget, asking for a pay increase, starting a side project, looking at debt honestly, talking about money with a partner. The solution is simple. Take one small physical step. When energy moves into action, fear loses power. Even making one call, reading one page, writing one goal begins breaking the paralysis. Once momentum starts, confidence follows. Old agreements from childhood. Maria explains that childhood messages often become adult limitations. Some examples: wanting money is greedy. People like us never get rich. Money causes pain or fights. We don't talk about money. These inherited beliefs run silently in the background, shaping behavior without realization. To break them, she suggests identify the belief, ask, "Is this absolutely true today?" Replace it with an empowering new perspective. For example, money causes problems, to money is a tool that supports my freedom. Your financial reality changes when your internal agreements change. The importance of structure. Success is not built on motivation. It is built on structures that support the life you want. Maria recommends calendars, accountability partners, budget tracking, written goals, review systems. These stabilize decision-making and prevent emotional backsliding. Without structure, people rely on willpower, and willpower is inconsistent.
Structure ensures that even on low energy days, progress continues. A powerful reflection exercise. Maria offers one exercise to identify hidden financial blocks. Finish these sentences. If I became wealthy, people would. If I failed financially, it would mean. The thing I fear most about success is. The thing I fear most about money is. Often the answers reveal unconscious resistance, fear of judgment, fear of responsibility, fear of jealousy, fear of change. When these fears are seen clearly, they lose power. Key lessons. Most obstacles are internal, not external. Fear is a natural part of progress, not a stop sign. Procrastination is emotional avoidance, not laziness. Childhood beliefs often shape adult financial behavior. Structure enables consistent action. Honest acknowledgement is the beginning of breakthrough. Practical applications. Write down the fears, patterns, or recurring excuses stopping your progress. Take one tiny physical step toward a financial goal today. Replace old limiting beliefs with empowering ones. Create structures, budget plans, reminders, accountability to keep momentum going even when motivation fluctuates. Notice discomfort, but move forward anyway. Chapter Summary. Chapter 7 teaches that wealth and fulfillment require clearing the internal blocks that restrict your financial energy. When fear, procrastination, childhood beliefs, and emotional avoidance are released, a person becomes capable of taking consistent, empowered action. Progress then becomes not a matter of struggling, but a natural movement of energy toward success.
Chapter 8. Turning Intention into Action. The Power of Commitment. Maria Nemeth explains that the gap between the life people want and the life they have is not lack of knowledge, opportunity, or resources. It is the gap between intention and action. Everyone has dreams, hopes, and desires, but only those who commit to consistent action transform intention into reality. This chapter is all about one central message. Energy flows where commitment lives. The illusion of trying. Maria says most people spend years trying to achieve something, trying to save money, trying to start a business, trying to change spending habits, trying to reduce debt. But trying is not action, and the subconscious knows the difference. Trying gives a feeling of effort without movement. Action is when energy becomes visible in the physical world. Examples of real action: transferring money into savings, calling a client, canceling an unnecessary subscription, reading a chapter, spending 1 hour working on a side project. No matter how small, visible action is what transforms energy into results. The moment of commitment. Maria describes commitment with a clear definition. Commitment is doing what you said you would do, even after the mood you set it in has left you. Anyone can be motivated on day 1. Successful people follow through on day 31. Mood is temporary. Commitment is structural. And once a person commits, something powerful happens. Life begins aligning with that decision. Opportunities appear. People show up. Solutions become visible. But only after the energy of intention becomes committed action. The critical choice point. Maria explains that every goal has a moment she calls the choice point. This is the moment when discomfort arises. Fear, doubt, boredom, uncertainty, imposter syndrome. Most people retreat at this point. They say, maybe this isn't the right time. Maybe I'm not ready. I'll start again next week. But this is the exact moment where success is made. If you move forward through the discomfort, the brain learns that fear is survivable, and confidence grows. If you turn back, the mind stores that retreat as evidence. I can't do this. This forms a cycle of hesitation and giving up. Breaking that cycle requires moving forward even when emotions are not comfortable. Perfectionism, the silent dream killer. Maria makes a powerful statement. Perfectionism is the mask that that fear wears. People refuse to take action because they want the perfect time, the perfect plan, the perfect level of knowledge, the perfect confidence. But waiting for perfection ensures no progress is ever made. She encourages, act imperfectly now rather than perfectly later. Clarity comes from action, not the other way around. The one small step method. Maria teaches that transformation begins with one small step, not a massive leap. Why small steps? Because small steps are doable. Small steps build confidence. Small steps create momentum. Small steps bypass the brain's fear trigger. Even saving $5, making a single phone call, or working 10 minutes on a project begins shifting energy from intention to reality. Success is not about dramatic moves. It is about consistent, steady progress. Creating structures for follow-through. Maria says motivation is unreliable, but structure is dependable. Successful people don't rely on willpower. They build systems that make execution automatic. Examples: scheduled times for financial review, automatic transfers into savings, accountability partners, work calendars, deadline reminders, task lists, income tracking systems. Structure protects your goals from changing moods. The emotional reward of completion. Maria introduces a concept she calls completion consciousness. Every time you complete an action, energy returns to you. Confidence increases, inner resistance decreases. The brain learns, I take action and finish what I start. This becomes a new identity, a person who follows through. Conversely, incomplete tasks drain energy and attention. Unpaid bills, unfinished lists, delayed emails, unmade decisions. Completion frees that trapped energy and increases momentum. 3 questions for commitment. Maria suggests asking yourself 3 questions before pursuing any financial or personal goal. What do I really want? What small action can I take today? And what structure will support me when I lose motivation? Clarity to action to structure. This sequence creates stable progress. A short exercise. Write down one financial or personal goal you have been postponing. Now answer, what is one action I can take within the next 24 hours? And what structure can I put in place so this continues every week? If you act immediately, the commitment becomes real. Key lessons. Intention without action is just a wish. Commitment begins when feelings fade, but actions continue. The critical choice point is where most people give up, but pushing through builds mastery. Perfectionism is fear in disguise. Act now, learn later. One small step can begin major transformation. Structure protects goals from emotional fluctuations. Completion releases energy and builds confidence. Chapter summary. Chapter 8 teaches that dreams become real only when intention becomes action. Commitment, not motivation, is the engine of wealth and life success. By taking small, consistent steps and building supportive structures, anyone can cross the gap between vision and achievement and begin moving toward a life of abundance and fulfillment.
Chapter 9. The Flow of Money. Learning to Receive with Grace. Maria Nemeth opens Chapter 9 by exploring a topic that many people struggle with far more than they admit: the ability to receive. Most people think their financial problems stem from not earning enough, not saving enough, or not finding the right opportunities. But Maria argues that often, people don't have a money shortage, they have a receiving blockage. We've been conditioned to believe that working hard, giving, helping, and sacrificing are noble, but receiving payment, support, or praise is somehow greedy or selfish. This emotional conflict is what disrupts the flow of money and energy in a person's life. Giving and receiving need to be in balance. Maria explains that money is energy in circulation, like blood in the body. If you only give and never receive, the system collapses. If you only receive and never give, it stagnates. Financial harmony comes from alignment. Give generously, receive gratefully. Just as breathing requires both inhaling and exhaling, financial health requires both providing value and allowing value to come back. Yet many people are skilled only at the giving side. They overwork. They undercharge. They accept less than they deserve. They refuse help. They dismiss compliments. They avoid asking for what they want. This creates an energetic imbalance that keeps them financially and emotionally exhausted. Why people struggle to receive. Maria says people block receiving for 4 major reasons. 1. Childhood conditioning. Messages like, "Good people serve others," "Don't be selfish," "Be grateful, you shouldn't want more." These form deep subconscious beliefs that make receiving feel wrong or uncomfortable. 2. Fear of judgment. People worry, what will others think? Will people believe I'm greedy? Do I even deserve this? So they avoid opportunities that could benefit them. 3. Fear of obligation. Some worry, if I receive something, I'll owe something in return. So they reject gifts, discounts, referrals, or financial opportunities, even when those opportunities cost nothing. 4. Low self-worth. Maria states, you only receive at the level you believe you deserve. If someone secretly feels, I'm not capable, I'm not worthy, I shouldn't have more than others, the no strategy, financial plan, or investment method will work long-term. The subconscious will always sabotage what the conscious mind tries to create. Receiving without guilt. Maria teaches that true abundance requires learning to receive in 3 ways. 1. Receive money. If someone offers you to pay you a fair amount, say thank you. Not, are you sure? You don't have to. This is too much. This weakens the energy of value exchange. 2. Receive praise. When someone says, you did great, don't deflect with, it was nothing. Anyone could have done it. I just got lucky. Say, thank you. Accept it. Store it. Let your nervous system learn that recognition is safe. 3. Receive help. High achievers often refuse help because they equate self-reliance with strength. But Maria reminds us, greatness is never achieved alone. Allow others to support you. Delegation, mentorship, partnership, emotional encouragement, spiritual guidance. Receiving is not weakness, it's alignment with how energy flows. The money thermostat. Maria writes that everyone has an internal money comfort zone. Just like a thermostat, when income rises above what someone unconsciously believes is acceptable, they will overspend, procrastinate, create financial emergencies, lose opportunities, self-sabotage, to bring their finances back down to their familiar level. To raise income permanently, someone must raise their sense of what they are allowed to receive. This happens internally before it ever shows externally. The receiving practice. Maria gives a powerful exercise to unlock the receiving channel. For 1 week, when someone gives you a compliment, a gift, a chance, a recommendation, a discount, help, payment, do not deflect. Do not downgrade it. Do not apologize. Simply respond, thank you, I appreciate it. Most people feel awkward the first few times, but within days, the nervous system starts to adapt. Receiving becomes natural and profitable. Rewriting the inner script. Maria encourages journaling around these questions. What did my family teach me about receiving? What emotions do I feel when someone gives me something? Do I secretly believe I'm not supposed to have more? Which opportunities have I rejected because I felt unready? Seeing these beliefs in writing shines light on unconscious patterns. Awareness is the first step to transformation. A story from Maria's practice. Maria tells the story of a woman who was undercharging for her services by more than 50%. She worked long hours, felt drained, and believed, I shouldn't charge more. People might think I'm selfish. When Maria coached her into raising her prices, she struggled with guilt. But clients didn't react negatively. Instead, she earned more, worked less, had more satisfied clients, and most importantly, she learned to receive without apology. This emotional shift, not the price increase, was the real victory.
Wealth as a mirror of belief. Maria says money doesn't change who you are, it amplifies what already exists. If you are generous, empowered, and grounded, money will help you change the world. If you are scared or self-doubting, money will only magnify the fear. The work isn't in the bank account, it's in the mind. Key lessons. Money is energy, and energy must be allowed to circulate. Many people are better at giving than receiving, causing financial exhaustion. Receiving feels uncomfortable because of old beliefs, guilt, duty, judgment, and low self-worth. You only receive at the level you believe you deserve. A person must learn to receive praise, help, opportunities, and payment without apology. The nervous system must be trained to accept abundance as safe. Raising income permanently requires raising inner permission. Practical actions. Daily receiving challenge. For the next 7 days, accept every compliment, accept help graciously, say thank you instead of minimizing, write down each moment of receiving. This begins reprogramming the internal money thermostat. Journaling prompts. Write answers to what makes receiving feel uncomfortable? Where did this belief come from? How would my life change if I received without apology? Set a new standard. Choose one financial area where you under-receive. Salary, business pricing, client payments, support, time, recognition. Raise the standards starting today. Chapter summary. Chapter 9 teaches that abundance is not just about creating wealth, it is about allowing wealth to land. By learning to receive without guilt, shame, or apology, a person opens the channel through which financial and personal blessings can flow. When giving and receiving come into balance, money stops being a struggle and becomes a natural expression of spiritual and emotional alignment.
Chapter 10. Money and the Inner Critic. Quieting the voice that stops progress. In this chapter, Maria Nemeth tackles one of the most powerful forces that derail financial success, not markets, not income levels, not lack of intelligence, but something much closer, the inner critic. This is the voice inside that says, "You're not smart enough to manage money. People like you never become wealthy. What if you fail and everyone sees? You should feel guilty for wanting more. Don't take risks, you'll lose everything." Maria explains that every time someone tries to step into a bigger life, earning more, investing, saving, starting a business, asking for a raise, or even setting boundaries, this inner voice activates like a psychological alarm. The inner critic is not proof that you are weak, it is proof that you are growing. Where the inner critic comes from. Maria explains that the inner critic is not something we consciously created. It grows from childhood experiences. Parents, teachers, and early authority figures often used criticism as a way to keep us safe. Messages like, "Don't reach too high," "Don't embarrass yourself," "Be realistic," "People who want money are greedy." These beliefs sink into the subconscious long before we have the ability to question them. 2. Survival brain wiring. Maria points out that the inner critic is simply the survival brain trying to protect us. Humans evolved with nervous systems designed to avoid danger, not pursue greatness. So any step outside the comfort zone is interpreted as possible threat. Stop. 3. Past pain. If a person once experienced failure, rejection, financial loss, humiliation, embarrassment, the brain takes a snapshot and tries to prevent future pain by discouraging growth. The inner critic is not malicious, it is protective. But it is also outdated and inaccurate. Why the inner critic becomes loudest with money. Maria explains that money triggers deeper emotional responses than most areas of life, because money is connected to safety, status, survival, identity, belonging, self-worth. So, the moment someone tries to expand financially, investing, earning more, increasing prices, taking new financial risks, the inner critic rises to full volume. It tries to shrink the person back into the old comfort zone. This is why the poor remain poor. The middle class stays stuck. People sabotage success when it arrives. The nervous system pulls them back to what feels familiar. The voice is loudest right before breakthrough. Maria makes a powerful observation. The inner critic is loudest when you're closest to success. When someone starts taking action toward transformation, the survival brain senses the possibility of real change and reacts strongly. This means doubt equals progress. Fear equals growth. Negative self-talk is evidence of forward movement. People misinterpret these signals as warnings to stop, but Maria reframes them. The inner critic is not a stop sign. It is proof that you're moving toward expansion. The three faces of the inner critic. Maria categorizes the inner critic into three common forms. 1. The perfectionist critic. Voice says, if you can't do it perfectly, don't do it. You still don't know enough. You should have been further by now. The perfectionist critic blocks action and creates paralysis. 2. The not enough critic. Voice says, you're not smart enough. You don't have enough experience. People like you don't succeed. This critic attacks identity and self-worth. 3. The catastrophe critic. Voice says, if this fails, you'll lose everything. People will laugh at you. You'll regret taking the risk. This critic turns normal discomfort into imagined disaster. Maria assures the reader, everyone has all three. The difference is how successful people respond. Successful people don't silence the critic, they manage it. The inner critic never fully disappears. Even financially successful, stable, accomplished people still hear it. The difference? They stop believing it. They hear the fear but act anyway. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is action with fear present. How to disarm the inner critic. Maria offers several techniques to powerfully interrupt the critic's influence. 1. Name the voice. When you name something, you reduce its power. Some clients gave their critic names like the old accountant, the worrier, the shadow, grandma's voice. Once named, you can say, thank you, I hear you, but I'm choosing something different. This reclaims agency. 2. Fact-check the thought. Most negative inner messages fall apart under logical examination. Example, I'll lose everything. Fact-check. Did I lose everything last time I took a risk? Do the numbers support that outcome? What is the actual worst-case scenario? Could I recover? Fear hates logic. 3. Shift from emotion to observation. Ask, what is actually happening? What's the next small action? Action dissolves panic. The brain can't hold analysis paralysis and action at the same time. 4. Examine the payoff of negative beliefs. Maria asks clients, what do you gain by holding this belief? For example, I'm not good with money. Payoff, no risk, no responsibility, no possibility of failure, but also no growth, no wealth, no empowerment. Seeing this in writing reveals the cost of staying small. 5. Reframe the voice as support. Instead of fighting the inner critic, reinterpret it, not as stop, but as something big is happening, stay present. Now the voice becomes a signal of transformation, not danger. Financial freedom begins with inner freedom. Maria emphasizes, the outer world reflects the inner world. If a person fears failure, doubts themselves, believes they are unworthy, expects loss, distrusts their abilities, their behavior will mirror these beliefs. No investment, no negotiation, no bold goals, no stretching, no leadership. Money cannot outgrow mindset. The most important question. Maria asks the reader, who would you be without believing the critic's voice? Would you ask for a raise, launch the business, charge what you're worth, save consistently, invest confidently, stop apologizing for wanting more? Often, financial breakthroughs don't require new information. They require new permission. Affirmation for the money journey. Maria provides a powerful statement to repeat. I acknowledge the voice of fear, but I choose to move anyway. No drama, no fight, just leadership. Key lessons. The inner critic is normal and universal. It gets louder when you are closest to change. Fear-based programming comes from childhood, survival wiring, and past pain. The critic takes three common forms: perfectionist, not enough, and catastrophic. Successful people don't eliminate the voice, they lead through it. Action dissolves fear faster than analysis. Money growth requires inner growth first. Practical actions. 1. Name the inner critic. Give it a name and personality. This creates psychological separation. 2. Write down 5 common inner critic phrases. Then write next to each, is this thought true? Where did it come from? What is the reality? 3. Take one small action today. Even tiny progress tells the brain, I am capable. 4. Celebrate evidence of growth. List moments from the past when you made a good decision. You recovered from difficulty. You succeeded despite fear. This reinforces trust in yourself. Chapter 10 teaches that money breakthroughs happen first on the inside. The inner critic is not a sign of weakness. It is a predictable response to growth. By learning to hear the voice without obeying it, a person can take consistent action, build confidence, and unlock levels of financial and personal expansion that once seemed impossible.
Chapter 11. Practicing Conscious Completion. In The Energy of Money, Chapter 11, Maria Nemeth introduces a powerful discipline that many people overlook: conscious completion, the art of finishing what you start with clarity, gratitude, and presence. She explains that most stress around money and life goals comes not from what we have to do, but from the mental weight of unfinished tasks. The emails unanswered, bills delayed, projects half done, ideas not acted on. Unfinished business drains our mental, emotional, and spiritual energy. Every open loop keeps a part of our attention hostage, whether we are consciously thinking about it or not. Nemeth argues that completing things is one of the greatest sources of restored personal power. Why completion matters? When you complete something intentionally, several things happen. Your energy returns to you. You create clarity and reduce anxiety. You open psychological and emotional space for new goals. You build credibility with yourself. Every completion builds inner confidence. You tell yourself, not with words but with action, I am a person who finishes what I start. This sense of self-trust becomes fuel for future achievements, especially in financial life. How unfinished business blocks flow. Nemeth explains that unfinished tasks sit like static in the background. We may not notice them consciously, but they occupy bandwidth, add low-level anxiety, make it harder to focus, reduce our ability to say yes to new opportunities. She calls this incomplete energy. And incomplete energy keeps us stuck. For example, a person dreams of starting a business, but unfinished taxes and unpaid bills weigh on them. Someone wants a better job, but they never cleared the clutter on their desk, and the visual chaos increases mental fog. A person wants peace, but they leave difficult conversations unspoken, which continue to drain emotional strength. Completion clears the runway for meaningful progress. Conscious completion, the practice. Nemeth recommends a simple but transformative exercise. Step 1. List all incompletes. Write down everything that is not finished, in money, relationships, work, health, home, promises you made, commitments to yourself. This step alone creates awareness, and awareness itself begins to free energy. Step 2. Choose a small number to complete. Don't overwhelm yourself. Select the 5 most urgent, or the 5 easiest, or the 5 most energy-consuming. The point is to start completing. Step 3. Finish them. Completion may look like doing the task, delegating it, scheduling it, or intentionally dropping it. Dropping counts as long as you drop it consciously and release the guilt. Step 4. Celebrate completion. This part is critical. Completion should generate good emotional reinforcement, a reward system that tells your brain, completing feels good, let's do more. Even small completions can produce major energy shifts. Completion in financial life. Nemeth emphasizes that money clarity grows from completion. Examples: paying overdue bills, closing unnecessary subscriptions, organizing account passwords, filing taxes, creating a savings structure. When financial loose ends are tied, you feel mentally lighter, often instantly. Completion in relationships. Some of the greatest drains are unresolved conversations, apologies never made, boundaries never set, affection never expressed, conflicts never clarified. Nemeth encourages completing emotional loops with honesty and compassion, even if it means simply writing a letter of closure, whether or not you send it. Completion strengthens integrity. In earlier chapters, Nemeth highlighted that the energy of money responds to integrity, your alignment between word and action. Finishing what you start is the purest expression of integrity. People who complete stand taller, experience more confidence, become more trustworthy, build reputations others rely on, and most importantly, they trust themselves. Practical exercise. Nemeth suggests trying this. Take 20 to 30 minutes, write a list of everything incomplete in your life. Circle 3 to 5 items to take action on today. Complete them, or clearly delegate or release them. Notice how your mental and emotional state shifts. Even one small completion can bring meaningful clarity. Key lessons. Chapter 11 reminds us that completion is a spiritual act. Energy returns to you when you finish things. Unfinished tasks quietly drain power and confidence. Clutter, physical or emotional, is frozen energy waiting to be released. Completion creates the space for new goals and deeper financial progress. In summary, Chapter 11 teaches us that success with money is not just about earning more. It's about freeing trapped energy by completing what is already on your path. When you finish tasks and commitments with presence and intention, you move forward in life with greater grace, focus, and inner strength.
Chapter 12. Mastering the Art of Focused Attention. In Chapter 12 of The Energy of Money, Maria Nemeth shifts from completion to something just as essential for financial and personal success: focused attention. She argues that most people don't lack intelligence, opportunity, or potential. They lack the ability to direct their attention consistently toward what matters. The nature of attention. Attention, she explains, is like a beam of light. If scattered, it illuminates nothing deeply. If concentrated, it becomes powerful, like a laser. Most people live in a distracted mental world. They start new projects before finishing old ones. They jump from task to task. They are constantly pulled by emotions, anxiety, and external stimulation. Their attention leaks energy. Nemeth calls this diffused attention, and it destroys momentum, especially with money. Why focus matters. Focused attention strengthens your ability to take committed action. It builds confidence. It makes progress visible. It keeps fear from hijacking your energy. Where attention goes, energy flows. If your attention is scattered over everything you fear, everything you haven't done, everything that might go wrong, then energy flows into stress. But if your attention centers on the next simple step, what is within your control, the present moment, then energy moves toward success. The trap of the inner critic. Maria Nemeth reminds us that distraction is often triggered by the monkey mind, the inner critic that constantly demands you prove yourself, warns you of what could go wrong, drags your attention into the future or past. When the monkey mind takes the wheel, attention becomes scattered and progress collapses. The key skill she teaches is not eliminating the monkey mind, but refusing to let it drive your decisions. Focused attention in money matters. Focused attention is essential for paying bills on time, managing budgets, reviewing investments, building credit, eliminating debt, planning spending, and executing new financial goals. Even 15 to 20 minutes of focused financial attention a day can completely transform your relationship with money. The power of attention tracking. Nemeth introduces a powerful tool, attention tracking, which means paying attention to where your attention is. This can be done through small habits like pausing before starting work, noticing when you drift into worry or distraction, writing down moments when the monkey mind interrupts your plans, returning your focus to the next small action. The moment you notice distraction, attention returns to the present, and that is a win.
The one small step practice. Nemeth emphasizes that attention should not be focused on large, overwhelming tasks. Instead, focus attention only on the very next step. Examples: don't pay off all debt. Make one payment today. Don't clean the entire house. Clear one drawer. Don't master investing. Read for 20 minutes. When focus narrows, anxiety drops, and progress becomes real. The power of one-pointed attention. Maria Nemeth calls deep concentration one-pointed attention, a state where the mind is calm, action is clear, distraction fades, energy flows freely. This state is not mystical. It is a skill developed through repetition, like a muscle trained in the gym. Practical exercise. Nemeth gives a simple, incredibly effective exercise. Choose a task that will take 10 to 15 minutes. Set a timer. Do only that task, nothing else. When distraction arises, gently return your attention. Celebrate completion. If done daily, this single practice can reshape your ability to focus. Attention creates results. One of Nemeth's core teachings in this chapter is, wherever your attention rests, your results will grow. If your attention rests on chaos, you get more chaos. If your attention rests on clarity, you build clarity. Focus is a spiritual discipline. Nemeth concludes that attention is not just mental, it is spiritual. Attention respects your goals. Attention honors your commitments. Attention proves you are serious. Attention strengthens your relationship with yourself. By training focus, you become the kind of person who works on what matters and finishes. Key lessons from Chapter 12. You don't need more intelligence. You need better attention. Anxiety scatters attention. Presence restores it. Focused attention channels energy toward meaningful results. The ability to redirect attention is the heart of personal power. Consistency, not intensity, produces transformation. Chapter 13. The Courage to Take Action. In Chapter 13 of The Energy of Money, Maria Nemeth focuses on an essential turning point in every financial and personal transformation journey: the moment you stop thinking and start acting. She explains that most people fail not because they lack dreams, talent, or opportunities, but because they stop just before taking meaningful action. And the reason almost always traces back to one emotion: fear. Fear is normal and necessary. Nemeth explains that fear is not a sign that something is wrong. In fact, fear appears when you step outside your comfort zone. Fear shows up when you are about to grow. Fear indicates that you are crossing from imagination into reality. She writes that fear is simply the brain saying, "You are entering unknown territory. Stay where it's safe." Unfortunately, safe also means no progress, no fulfillment, no financial growth. The wall between vision and reality. In previous chapters, Nemeth introduced vision, the dream; purpose, what you want; attention, where you focus. But now she explains the most crucial step. Action is what turns energy into results. Between dream and reality stands the invisible wall, a psychological barrier made of self-doubt, procrastination, overthinking, imposter syndrome, fear of failure, fear of success, what others might say. This is where most people stop. The inner friction. Nemeth explains that when you finally begin taking action, your inner world reacts. What if I fail? What if I look foolish? What if this doesn't work? What if I'm not good enough? This is the moment where transformation either dies or begins. Those who succeed feel the same fear but act anyway. Courage is not the absence of fear. Nemeth redefines courage in a brilliant way. Courage is taking action while fear is present. She emphasizes courage is a behavior, not a feeling. You don't wait until fear disappears. You act, and the fear loses power. The body response. Nemeth notes that when fear arrives, the heart races, the chest tightens, thoughts speed up, muscles tense.
Most people interpret this as something is wrong, I should stop. But she reframes it, this physical reaction is energy, fuel telling you that you are on the edge of growth. If you move forward anyway, that energy becomes momentum. The first uncomfortable step. Nemeth teaches the first step is always the hardest because it breaks the comfort zone and activates a new life pattern. Once the first step is taken, doubt weakens, confidence grows, energy flows. Reality begins to shift. Even a tiny action is enough to begin the transformation. The action promise. Nemeth introduces a powerful structure. Action promise equals one small measurable action plus a deadline. Examples: I will call the bank before 4 p.m. I will spend 20 minutes reviewing my budget tonight. I will send one networking email today. I will study investment basics for 15 minutes before bed. Why does this work? Because it is small, it is doable, it is trackable, it builds confidence. The action promise becomes the antidote to doubt, delay, and indecision. Accountability changes everything. Nemeth encourages sharing your action promise with a mentor, a coach, a friend, a partner. Why? Because humans hate breaking promises that others know about. Accountability turns "I'll try" into "I will." Expect resistance. Nemeth warns the moment you make a commitment, the monkey mind wakes up. Excuses arrive. Distractions appear. Old patterns try to pull you back. This is normal. Resistance does not mean "I should stop." Resistance means I am right on the edge of progress. She introduces the 90-second rule. When fear or doubt hits, set a timer for 90 seconds. Breathe, feel the discomfort without running away, then take action. Research shows that emotional spikes usually pass within 90 seconds if we don't feed them with stories. Small actions lead to big growth. Nemeth explains, big goals are achieved through small, boring, consistent actions. You don't need more motivation. You need more follow-through. Every day you take even one small action, you gain personal power, build self-trust, grow momentum, move closer to financial and life fulfillment. Spirit versus survival mind. Nemeth says we have two inner voices. Spirit, the higher self, encouraging, clear, vision-driven, calm. Survival brain, fearful, distracting, comfort-obsessed, worry-driven. Action is the decision. I choose spirit over fear. Key lessons from Chapter 13. Fear is normal. It means growth is happening. Courage is taking action while fear exists. The first step breaks the comfort zone. Action promises create focus, momentum, and follow through. Resistance is proof you're moving in the right direction.
Chapter 14. Mastering Completion. Finishing what you start. In Chapter 14 of The Energy of Money, Maria Nemeth addresses one of the most overlooked and most financially costly patterns in a person's life. Starting a lot, but finishing very little. She explains that in personal fulfillment, career growth, and wealth building, your power is not measured by how many ideas you begin, but by how many you complete. This chapter is about the psychology of finishing, why we abandon projects, how unfinished tasks drain life energy, and how to reclaim power by closing the loop. Why we don't finish. Nemeth identifies several common reasons people don't complete what they start. 1. The high of new beginnings. We humans love new projects, fresh ideas, exciting opportunities, dramatic goals. That early energy feels good. But the emotional high of beginning eventually fades, and this is where progress must take over. When it stops feeling exciting, many people interpret it as, this isn't the right idea. I'm losing interest. Maybe this wasn't meant to be. But in truth, the dip is a natural part of any worthwhile goal.
2. Fear at the finish line. Nemeth explains a surprising truth. Fear increases as we get closer to success. Why? Because finishing creates accountability, visibility, judgment, possibility of criticism, confirmation of whether we succeed or fail. So the brain tries to escape. 3. Perfectionism. A big barrier to completion is the belief, it's not ready yet. I need to fix this one last thing. I'll release it once I improve blank. Nemeth says perfectionism is a socially acceptable disguise for fear. 4. Too many open loops. Many people have half-read books, half-finished projects, unsent emails, unrevised budgets, unacted plans. Each unfinished task drains a little bit of mental energy, like apps running in the background. She calls this the open file cabinet in your mind. And the more files open, the more stress accumulates. Completion is a skill. Finishing is not luck, talent, personality. It is a trainable life skill. Nemeth teaches that wealthy, fulfilled, high-performing individuals take one thing at a time, complete it, and then move to the next. This builds internal power. The power of completion energy. Whenever you finish a task, big or small, something powerful happens. You experience closure, confidence, pride, energy, mental relief, a stronger sense of self. Nemeth explains, every act of completion increases your sense of personal integrity, the feeling that I can count on myself. The opposite is also true. Every abandoned task weakens self-trust. Completion creates clarity. When you complete something, the mental noise quiets, anxiety decreases, attention becomes focused, energy becomes available for new goals. That is why wealthy people often say, first clear your plate, then add more. Completion doesn't always mean perfection. Nemeth emphasizes completion is good enough and done, not flawless. She offers a core statement. Perfect is the enemy of finished. Your personal growth and financial progress accelerate when you are willing to release, deliver, finish, ship, move something into the world even if it isn't perfect. Completion transforms ideas into real-world results. You don't build wealth because you think about investing, read about budgeting, plan a business. You build wealth because you finish the budget, open the investment account, launch the business, make the call, close the deal, deliver the work. Completion transforms ideas into real-world results. How to become a finisher. Nemeth gives several practical strategies. 1. Shrink the task. Large goals feel overwhelming. Breaking them down into simple, measurable, bite-sized actions reduces resistance. Example, instead of write my entire course, shift to write one page today. Small actions build completion momentum. 2. Set deadlines. A goal without a deadline has no urgency, does not trigger action, and can be pushed forever. Deadlines activate commitment. 3. Build accountability. Share your completion promise with a coach, a friend, a colleague, a mastermind group. Accountability increases follow-through dramatically. 4. Close small loops first. Nemeth suggests start with small unfinished tasks like sending that email, paying that bill, cleaning a desk, finishing a short assignment. Each small completion is a psychological victory that strengthens your finishing muscle. 5. Say no more often. You cannot finish 30 projects, 100 ideas, an endless to-do list. Sometimes, self-respect is saying no to what does not matter so you can complete what does. The completion exercise. Nemeth gives a powerful exercise. Step 1. Make a list of 10 things you have left unfinished. Step 2. Choose one to complete this week. Step 3. Declare it to someone. Step 4. Finish it, even if it is imperfect. Step 5. Observe how much energy returns when it is done. Most people are shocked at the mental relief this creates. Completion improves your relationship with money. Unfinished financial tasks create anxiety, guilt, shame, self-repression, and distrust in yourself. Completing financial actions, even tiny ones, builds confidence, deepens responsibility, strengthens financial self-image, and moves you toward wealth. Key lessons from Chapter 14. Wealth and fulfillment come from finishing, not starting. Completion is a habit and a trainable skill. Perfectionism is fear in disguise. Unfinished tasks drain mental energy. Completing even small tasks builds confidence and momentum. Saying no protects your ability to finish what matters most.
Chapter 15. Stock Selection for the Enterprising Investor. In this chapter, Benjamin Graham turns directly to the investor who is willing to go beyond passive long-term holding strategies. The chapter focuses on the enterprising investor, someone willing to put in extra effort, research, emotional control, and analytical thinking in exchange for potentially higher returns. Graham does not promise miracles or unrealistic results. Rather, he shows that through disciplined thinking, clear rules, and the avoidance of common market traps, enterprising investors can beat average market performance consistently and responsibly. Graham's goal in this chapter is not to inspire speculation, risk-taking, or chasing glamorous stocks. Instead, he explains how diligent investors can identify undervalued opportunities overlooked by the market, and by doing so, gradually outperform broad indexes without gambling. The difference between defensive and enterprising investors. Graham reiterates an idea that appears throughout the book. Defensive investors invest primarily for peace of mind. They want dependable results with minimal effort, minimal risk, and minimal involvement. Enterprising investors are willing to think harder, research deeper, and take advantage of mispriced market opportunities. Crucially, the difference between the two is not risk preference, but effort. An enterprising investor is not a gambler. Graham warns repeatedly that speculation disguised as investing is the biggest danger to financial success. Enterprising investors must always remain rational, analytical, and unemotional. Why undervalued stocks exist. Many readers might ask, if everyone has the same market data, how do cheap or undervalued stocks even exist? Graham provides several answers. 1. The market overreacts to popular stories. Popular companies become overpriced due to emotional enthusiasm, while dull or ignored companies become bargains. 2. Professional investors follow trends. Big funds and institutions often focus on momentum, growth narratives, quarterly performance, stocks other institutions are buying. This creates opportunity for investors who are willing to think independently. 3. Investors confuse earnings growth with investment quality. Graham observed a repeated historical mistake. A fast-growing company is assumed to be a great investment. A slowly growing or stagnating company is assumed to be a poor investment. Yet overpaying for growth is the most common way investors lose money, while buying companies stuck in temporary slow periods at low prices often leads to outsized returns when the business normalizes. The 4 core strategies for enterprising investors. Graham lays out 4 realistic, actionable paths to market outperformance. Each of them requires discipline and not blind optimism. Strategy 1. Buy undervalued companies based on low P/E ratios. The market often misprices companies whose stock prices become disconnected from earnings. Graham recommends looking for companies with low price-to-earnings ratios, stable or improving financial condition, normal long-term earnings power, no significant risks that threaten the business. In simple terms, buy companies that are earning well but are selling cheaply because market attention is elsewhere. This strategy does not require predicting the future. Instead, it is based on the idea that value eventually gets recognized when pessimism fades.
Strategy 2. Buy bargain issues. Stocks selling for less than their net working capital value. This is one of Graham's most famous ideas and historically one of his most profitable. A net stock is one where stock price less than net current asset value per share. In other words, a company could be liquidated tomorrow and still be worth more than the price its stock trades for. This strategy targets companies that are severely neglected, unpopular, often temporarily distressed. Yet statistically, Graham found that buying baskets of such companies over long periods dramatically outperformed the market with surprisingly low downside risk. Strategy 3. Buy high-quality companies experiencing temporary trouble. These are companies with strong long-term business models, good management, sound financial structures, but currently suffering from industry slowdowns, supply disruptions, market pessimism, temporary loss of earnings momentum. Graham famously notes, "A good business with a temporary problem is far safer than a risky business with temporary success." Wall Street tends to extrapolate recent results permanently. Graham argues that investors should do the opposite. Expect reversion to the mean. Focus on fundamentals rather than recent price action. Strategy 4. Special situations. Corporate events that unlock value. These include mergers, spin-offs, liquidations, bankruptcy reorganizations, tender offers, corporate breakups. These situations often present opportunities where price movements are driven not by market emotions, but by corporate actions with predictable outcomes. Graham warns that this strategy requires serious research, advanced analysis, and experience in business valuation. But for the disciplined investor, it can provide some of the best risk-adjusted returns in the investment world. The necessary qualities of the enterprising investor. Graham stresses that intelligence in investing is not IQ. Many extremely smart people lose money in markets because they cannot control their behavior. He lists the traits that matter most. 1. Discipline. Following rules consistently, even during euphoric bull markets and painful bear markets. 2. Patience. Value investing is slow, steady, and often boring. Success may take years. 3. Independence. Enterprising investors must be comfortable. Being wrong alone, being right alone, not needing public validation. Graham puts it beautifully. The successful investor is one who does not care what the crowd thinks. 4. Emotional stability. The market exists to test whether an investor can stay rational while others are excited or terrified. Mistakes enterprising investors must avoid. Graham outlines the traps that destroy performance. 1. Buying because of popularity. If Wall Street, social media, television, and your neighbor all love a stock, it is probably already expensive. 2. Overconfidence. Assuming this time is different, this company will change the world, I can't be wrong, is the beginning of destruction. 3. Confusing speculation with investment. Investing is analytical and disciplined. Speculation is emotional, fast, and sloppy. Graham repeats his classic principle. If you cannot explain why a stock is cheap in 1 or 2 sentences based on numbers, you are probably speculating. 4. Ignoring safety margins. Buying great companies at high prices is still dangerous. Buying average companies at very low prices can be surprisingly safe.
How to build a portfolio as an enterprising investor. Graham provides clear portfolio guidelines. Diversification. Even with skilled analysis, individual outcomes vary. A good portfolio should contain 10 to 30 stocks across different industries, bought at meaningful discounts to fair value. Position sizing. Do not go all in on any single idea. No matter how confident the investor feels, the market is never guaranteed. Continuous review. Enterprising portfolios must be updated regularly, removing stocks that have risen to full value, adding new undervalued opportunities,
reevaluating fundamentals when business conditions change. Why this approach works, the philosophy behind it. Graham's investment philosophy is rooted in an unchanging truth. Markets fluctuate, but value eventually asserts itself. Most investors chase stories, fall in love with recent price movement, follow trends, panic during declines. This emotional instability creates inefficiency. Enterprising investors benefit from that inefficiency by ignoring market noise and sticking to logic and numbers. The enterprising investor's process is simple. Buy only when the price is far below conservatively estimated value. Sell when the market becomes optimistic and prices rise toward fair value. Repeat consistently for decades. It is not glamorous, but it works. A final warning from Graham. Graham ends the chapter with a tone of caution. Enterprise investing is not for everyone. The majority of individual investors are better suited to the defensive approach. Most people lack either the time, emotional control, or independence required. But for those who can maintain discipline, the strategy of buying undervalued equities with rigorous analysis can outperform the market by a wide margin over long periods with controlled risk. This is not a promise of fast wealth, but of reliable, compounding success, the very heart of value investing.
Chapter 16. Transforming your relationship with time, money, and life. In Chapter 16 of The Energy of Money, Maria Nemeth brings together a deeper spiritual realization. You cannot change your financial life without transforming how you relate to time. Money is not just currency, it is focus, attention, life energy, time made visible. In this chapter, Nemeth teaches that people who struggle financially often have the same underlying issue. They do not see time as a sacred, limited, and powerful resource. This chapter shows how aligning time and money allows you to live with more fulfillment, clarity, and spiritual strength. Time is life energy. Nemeth explains a powerful truth. Money is what you get in exchange for your time. Waste enough time, you waste earning potential. Disrespect your time, you disrespect your dreams. She presents a formula. Time plus attention plus action equals results. If any of these are missing, dreams remain ideas, goals remain intentions, life stays in potential mode. The 3 ways people use time. Nemeth divides people into 3 types. 1. The reactor. This person responds to everything happening around them, jumps between tasks, stays busy but not productive, lives in chaos. They say things like, "I'm too busy," "I'll get to it later," "I don't have time." The reactor spends the day putting out fires, but ends the day exhausted, unproductive, unsatisfied. They often struggle with money because money requires calm decisions, planning, consistent follow-through. The dreamer. This person has big goals, loves planning, reads, learns, journals, comes up with ideas, but never brings them fully into reality. They are stuck in preparation, vision, theoretical improvement. Their life looks good on the inside, but nothing moves in the outside world. Dreamers feel good thinking about success, yet feel guilty that they are never executing. The producer. This is the ideal state. The producer plans effectively, acts consistently, finishes what they start, uses time deliberately. They recognize, if it isn't in the calendar, it doesn't exist. Producers control their time instead of letting time control them. Their financial life grows steadily because wealth responds to structure. Progress compounds. Action beats intention. Follow-through builds confidence. The gift of structured time. Nemeth teaches that meditation, affirmations, visualization are great, but without structure, they accomplish nothing. She introduces the time-action alignment. 1. Set a specific goal. 2. choose the actions required. 3. Put them in the calendar with exact times. This turns hope into scheduling, intentions into commitments, dreams into movement. Nemeth says, if you want to know someone's priorities, look at their calendar, not their words. The real reason people say, I don't have time. This excuse actually means, I don't want to face discomfort. This isn't a priority. I'm avoiding the truth. Nemeth says, every person on earth has the same 24 hours. The difference is how consciously they use them. Time is not the issue. Clarity is the issue. Courage is the issue. Decision is the issue. Time and money are always connected. Nemeth makes a major point. People who respect time tend to respect money. People who waste time often waste money. Why? Because both are forms of energy that require structure, intention, focus, discipline. When you protect your time, you make better financial choices, follow through more, execute more consistently, create momentum. The Life Intentions Calendar. Nemeth gives a powerful tool. Step 1. Identify a goal. Example: become debt-free, increase income, stop emotional spending, launch a business, strengthen a relationship. Step 2. Break the goal into small actions. Example for becoming debt-free: calculate debt totals, create payoff plan, reduce 2 non-essential expenses, set up automatic payments. Step 3. Schedule each action with date, time, duration. Example: Thursday, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Create budget. Step 4. Show up even if you don't feel like it. Showing up is how you gain power, discipline, alignment, and financial maturity. The time thieves. Nemeth lists the biggest time stealers: social media scrolling, worry, overthinking, drama, endless multitasking, saying yes to everything, waiting for motivation. She emphasizes, if you don't protect your time, the world will take it from you. Completion releases energy. Nemeth repeats a core theme. When you finish tasks that have been hanging over your head, mental pressure drops, stress dissolves, confidence increases, clarity returns, energy comes back. She encourages, stop adding more, complete what is already open. Even one small completion strengthens your sense of control. Time is a spiritual assignment. Nemeth makes a deep spiritual point. Every minute is a piece of your life, your soul, your existence. How you use your time is a reflection of what you value, what you prioritize, what you are willing to commit to. She writes, your calendar is a spiritual map of who you are becoming. Key lessons from Chapter 16. Time is the currency of life. Money is a visible reflection of how you use time. Highly successful people schedule their goals. Dreamers love planning. Producers love executing. Completion strengthens confidence and personal power. If something isn't in your calendar, it likely won't happen. Spiritual maturity shows up in how you use your time.
Chapter 17. 4 extremely instructive case histories. In Chapter 17, Benjamin Graham moves away from theory and enters the real world. Instead of abstract principles, formulas, and philosophies, he presents 4 real companies and what happened to investors who bought them. Graham's goal is simple: to show that the rules of value investing are not academic ideas. They are practical, testable wisdom that works in real markets. Each case teaches a core lesson about investing behavior, valuation, business fundamentals, and how the market can mislead or reward investors depending on their discipline. Why Graham uses case studies.
Graham believed that investors seldom lose money because they lack intelligence. Instead, they lose because the stock market seduces them to excitement, rewards speculation for short periods, makes foolish decisions look brilliant in the short run, punishes logic before eventually proving it correct. These 4 cases serve as investment lessons written by the market itself. Each demonstrates how investors become blinded by glamour, how price and value diverge, how defensive behavior can prevent disaster, how enterprising investors can find opportunity where others see none. Case Study 1. Northern Pipeline Company. What happened? Northern Pipeline is one of Graham's most legendary analyses. It demonstrates how deep financial reading can reveal value the market ignores. Northern Pipeline was a pipeline company that surprisingly had enormous investment holdings, a balance sheet full of valuable securities, more liquid assets than the price of the entire company. Yet most investors had no idea. Why? Because they only followed earnings per share, never examined the balance sheet, assumed the company was fairly valued. Graham's analysis. Graham discovered the stock traded far below liquidation value. Management made minimal effort to maximize shareholder benefit. Wall Street simply overlooked the assets. Outcome. Graham took action. He bought shares cheaply. He pressured the company to unlock value. The market eventually revalued the shares upward. The lesson: this case proves a key value investing principle. The market often misprices a company not because information is hidden, but because investors ignore it. Most investors were not thorough enough. Graham didn't need glamour, predictions, or speculation, just accounting facts and patience. Case Study 2. Penn Central Railroad. What happened? Penn Central was once one of the largest companies in the United States, America's most prestigious railroad. It was widely owned, respected, and assumed to be secure. Then it collapsed, becoming one of the largest corporate bankruptcies in American history up to that time. What investors believed? Millions believed that large corporations are inherently safe. Famous companies don't fail. The past guarantees the future. These beliefs blinded investors to massive warning signs. But the numbers actually showed. Before bankruptcy, the financial statements clearly revealed debt levels rising, declining profits, weak earnings coverage, financial dependence on short-term borrowing, corporate mismanagement. Yet investors ignored this and relied on reputation. The lesson: Graham emphasizes how you feel about a company does not change what it is. The defensive investor should have avoided Penn Central because the financial condition was weak, there was no margin of safety, the business lacked stability. The enterprising investor could have shorted the stock or avoided it entirely. Bigger lesson: Penn Central teaches that big companies are not automatically safe. Prestige is not a substitute for financial strength. Numbers tell the truth when investors won't. Case Study 3. Ling Temco Vought, LTV. What happened? LTV became the poster child for the 1960s corporate acquisition frenzy. It grew aggressively by buying company after company, using debt to fund expansion, creating the illusion of unstoppable growth. During the boom, the stock skyrocketed. Investors believed bigger means better. Growth guarantees success. Complex financial engineering is genius. It was a time of market euphoria, one of those periods where logic is replaced by narrative. Graham's view: he was unimpressed. He saw overexpansion, excessive leverage, no margin of safety, accounting manipulated to make earnings appear strong. He warned that rapid growth through acquisitions is often artificial and dangerous. The collapse? And collapse it did. Once the economy slowed, earnings fell, debt became impossible to service, investors panicked, the stock crashed. The lesson? This case shows how markets reward speculation in the short run. Leverage amplifies both success and disaster. Investors stop thinking rationally during a boom. It also reinforces a timeless Graham rule. If a company depends on continuous optimism to survive, it is not an investment, it is a speculation.
Case Study 4. NVF Corporation and the Sharon Steel episode. What happened? This final example is the most complex. It involves the acquisition of Sharon Steel by NVF, led by a financier who used extreme leverage and questionable financial tactics to pull off the deal. NVF was a small company. Sharon Steel was much larger. The acquisition only worked on paper because debt was piled on aggressively, creative accounting obscured the risks, optimistic forecasts painted an unrealistic future. Investor psychology. Many investors assumed, someone smart is controlling this, so it must be fine. If the deal is happening, regulators must be okay with it. Everyone else seems excited, why not follow? This is the herd mentality Graham warns against throughout the book. Financial reality. When examined objectively, debt servicing was dangerously high. Earnings projections were unrealistic. No margin of safety existed. Long-term shareholders were exposed to enormous risk. Outcome. The deal eventually went bad, shareholders suffered, and the entire episode became a lesson in overconfidence, financial engineering, investor naivete. The lesson. This case teaches two important rules. 1. If a business deal only works under perfect conditions, it is too risky. Markets, economies, and industries never stay perfect. 2. Leverage is the enemy of the investor. Debt can make risky companies appear profitable until reality arrives. Graham's core lessons from all four cases. After reviewing these examples, Graham highlights the real learning points. Lesson 1. Look beyond the narrative. Public perception is often emotional, shallow, uninformed. Companies succeed or fail based on cash, costs, debt, earnings, asset value, business reality. Thinking deeply for yourself is the investor's greatest competitive edge. Lesson 2. Prestigious companies can be dangerous. Big, famous, widely loved companies often suffer because investors never question them, warning signs get ignored. The stock price reflects popularity instead of value. Being large does not protect a company. Lesson 3. The balance sheet never lies. Market stories come and go. Hype rises and fades, but balance sheets quietly reveal the truth. Value investors win because they look where others don't. Lesson 4. Overexpansion and leverage destroy more companies than competition. Across the cases, Penn Central, LTV, and Sharon Steel, failure was not due to lack of opportunity. It was caused by too much borrowing, aggressive growth, ego-driven management, ignoring limits. A business is only safe when it can survive pessimistic conditions, not only prosperous ones. Lesson 5. A margin of safety is everything. The defensive investor could have avoided every disaster in this chapter simply by applying Graham's rules. The enterprising investor could have profited enormously by recognizing the mispricing early. The magic is not in brilliance, it is in discipline. Graham's final message in this chapter. Graham ends the chapter with a powerful reminder. You do not need unusual intelligence to succeed in investing. You need the ability to remain rational when others do not. These cases prove markets are emotional. Investors overreact in both directions. Financial reality always wins eventually. Those who stay disciplined outlast everyone else. Whether the investor is defensive or enterprising, the real enemy is impulse, excitement, fear, pressure, crowds. And the greatest friend is clear thinking, in-depth analysis, patience, buying with a margin of safety, ignoring market noise. These principles have survived every market cycle because they rest not on prediction, but on human nature and arithmetic, two forces that never change.
Chapter 18 of The Intelligent Investor is one of Benjamin Graham's most practical and eye-opening lessons in value investing.
Instead of focusing on one company at a time, Graham compares 8 pairs of companies, each pair from the same industry and operating in similar conditions, but with completely different stock market valuations. Why does he do this? To prove a timeless point. The market does not price companies based on reality. It prices them based on sentiment. In other words, 2 companies can have nearly identical fundamentals, yet one might be priced as a bargain while the other is treated like a miracle stock. These case studies help investors learn how fear, excitement, fashion, and herd psychology distort price, and why rational analysis wins in the long run. Why Graham uses pair comparisons. These pairings are designed to show how investors chase hot companies without logic, how mundane but solid companies get overlooked, how valuation, not glamour, determines long-term success, how the safest investments are often the boring ones, and how market emotion creates opportunity for the disciplined investor. Graham's comparisons are from the real market, real balance sheets, actual valuation multiples, and actual investor reactions. How the chapter is structured. Each comparison follows the same structure. 2 companies in the same industry, similar size and similar market environment, but radically different prices. The fashionable, overvalued stock versus the boring, undervalued one. Graham does not just compare financials, he examines earnings stability, dividend history, financial strength, future expectations, balance sheets, market psychology. Let's walk through the theme and lessons from these pairs. Pair themes and lessons. Pair type 1, the glamour stock versus the value stock. In several pairs, Graham shows Company A is growing rapidly. The market expects the growth to continue forever. The P/E ratio is sky high. Investors are emotionally attached. Meanwhile, Company B is equally strong or better fundamentally, but it lacks media excitement. The stock trades cheaply. Lesson: high growth can make a stock look brilliant until something slows the momentum. Graham teaches, if a stock is priced for perfection, even slight disappointment causes catastrophe. The undervalued stock, however, has room for positive surprise, grants a margin of safety, allows investors to profit even from average performance. In short, the glamour stock demands flawless results. The value stock only needs normal results. Pair type 2, same performance, opposite valuation. In some cases, both companies had nearly identical long-term earnings growth. Earnings stability was similar, dividends were comparable. Yet, one company's stock was priced 2 or 3 times higher. Why? Narrative. The market loves a story. Technological promise, charismatic leadership, acquisition excitement, media buzz. Everyone is buying it. Graham shows how dangerous this is. Investors do not buy earnings, they buy expectations priced into the stock. If those expectations are extreme, the future becomes dangerous, not exciting.
Pair type 3, strong company, weak stock, versus weak company, strong stock. In several pairs, Graham points out a fundamentally strong company can trade cheaply. A fundamentally mediocre company can trade expensively. Meaning, the stock price does not tell you the truth. The business itself tells the truth. This reinforces one of Graham's most famous lines. In the short run, the market is a voting machine. In the long run, it is a weighing machine. In the short run, popular stocks get votes. Hated stocks get ignored. But eventually, the business results overpower popularity. Fundamentals force prices to realign. Pair type 4, investors ignoring the balance sheet. Some companies had strong assets, cash reserves, conservative financing, but the market ignored all of it. Why? Because the market was obsessed with the income statement, EPS, growth rate, quarter-to-quarter comparisons. Graham reminds investors, the balance sheet reveals what the company is. Earnings only reveal how the company is doing at a moment in time. This difference is crucial. The companies with strong financial bases could survive downturns, could reinvest when competitors collapsed, had stability the market failed to reward. These are the companies that value investors love. Graham's deeper point: markets are emotional, not analytical. By comparing these 8 pairs, Graham demonstrates investors do not logically compare companies. They emotionally chase the stocks that make them feel smart, early, excited,
ahead of the crowd. Meanwhile, companies that grow slowly, stay conservative, have boring management, are often ignored even if they're safer and more profitable in the long term. Key patterns Graham wants you to see. Pattern 1. Popularity adds risk. The more celebrated a stock is, the higher its price rises. The more perfection investors demand, the more dangerous it becomes. A highly priced stock is like a tightrope. No room for error. One mistake equals sharp fall. Pattern 2. Unloved stocks offer safety. Unloved stocks have low expectations, have margin of safety, can outperform by merely being average. You don't have to predict the future. All you need is a company whose price is lower than what the business is worth now. No forecasting needed. Pattern 3. The market rewards real value, eventually. In every case, Graham shows overvalued glamour stocks get punished later. Undervalued, sturdy companies deliver above-average long-term returns. The market is slow to correct, but it always corrects. Pattern 4. Analysis always beats emotion. Most investors follow crowds, read headlines, get excited by stories. Value investors read financial statements, compare price to value, make decisions independently. This difference is the entire foundation of Graham's philosophy. Practical advice Graham gives in this chapter. 1. Never buy a stock just because it's popular. Popularity is not a factor in valuation. 2. Focus on what the business owns and earns, not what the market hopes or dreams. 3. Compare companies instead of judging them alone. You only understand value when you weigh alternatives. 4. Do not pay for growth that has already been priced in. Growth is only valuable when you buy it before it becomes obvious. 5. The margin of safety is everything. It protects you when the market changes its mind, which it always does. Emotional and psychological lesson of the chapter. Graham is not just teaching financial analysis, he's teaching temperament. The danger is not earnings volatility, competition, market downturns. The real danger is the investor's inability to resist excitement, fear, and fashion. This chapter trains investors to become unemotional, unfashionable, patient, and rational, because those traits outperform intelligence on Wall Street. Final takeaway of Chapter 18. This chapter proves two investors can look at the same market, see the same numbers, read the same reports. Yet, one will fall for the story, the other will see the reality. Success in investing does not belong to the smartest, the fastest, the most plugged in. It belongs to the one who keeps his head while others lose theirs.
Chapter 19. Stock Selection for the Defensive Investor. Chapter 19 of The Intelligent Investor is one of Graham's most practical and famous chapters. Here he finally answers a question every average investor asks. If I don't have the time, interest, or expertise to analyze stocks deeply, how should I invest? This chapter is written for the defensive investor, someone who wants long-term success, wants safety over excitement, does not want to spend hours reading financial statements, prefers a systematic approach, wants to outperform the average investor without speculation. Graham gives a complete blueprint for building a simple, low-maintenance stock portfolio that minimizes risk, avoids emotional decisions, capitalizes on value principles, requires very little ongoing work. Let's break it down. Who is the defensive investor? According to Graham, the defensive investor has a job, family, and life outside finance, doesn't want to become an expert stock analyst, doesn't want to trade stocks actively, wants a dependable strategy that works in any market. This person invests with the mindset, slow, steady, and boring is perfectly fine. Most investors should be defensive because markets punish overconfidence. Active traders often lose to commissions, taxes, and emotional mistakes. Simple beats complex when the rules are sound. This chapter shows exactly how. Graham's core principles for stock selection. The defensive investor should automate discipline instead of relying on instinct. Graham gives 7 requirements every stock in a defensive portfolio should meet. Rule 1. Adequate size of the company. Avoid tiny or unproven companies. Look for large, established firms,
resilient operations, economic durability. Size protects investors from business fragility, cyclical collapses, and unstable markets. Bigger companies survive storms better. Rule 2. Strong financial condition. A company should not be overloaded with debt. Graham recommends, for industrial companies, current assets should be twice current liabilities. Long-term debt should not exceed net working capital. For utilities, debt is acceptable but should be consistently serviceable. Strong financial condition equals resilience in downturns. Earnings stability. Graham requires positive earnings for at least 10 consecutive years. If a company can't earn money consistently across recessions, market crashes, and changing conditions, it is too risky for a defensive portfolio. Dividend record. Graham demands unbroken dividend payments for at least 20 years. Why? Because consistent dividends mean reliable cash flow, profitable business operations, shareholder-friendly policies, and management that respects investors. Companies that pay uninterrupted dividends over decades usually have discipline, financial strength, and less speculative behavior.
Rule 5. Earnings growth. A company should have at least 1/3 growth in earnings per share over the past 10 years. This confirms the business produces real progress. Growth is not dependent on hype. Stability is matched by improvement. Growth doesn't have to be dramatic. Steady is preferred. Rule 6. Moderate price-earnings ratio. Graham says, do not pay more than 15 times average earnings of the past 3 years. If the price is too high, the stock becomes vulnerable. The margin of safety disappears. Even great companies can be terrible investments if bought at the wrong price. Rule 7. Moderate ratio of price to assets. His rule, price should not exceed 1.5 times book value. However, he adds a flexible combined rule. P over E times P over B should not exceed 22.5. This allows a higher P over E if book value is low, a higher book value multiple if P over E is low. This single formula protects you from overpaying. The defensive investor's portfolio options. Graham gives 2 ways to build a portfolio. Option 1, 100% high-quality bonds and stocks. A simple allocation, 50% bonds, 50% high-quality stocks. Adjust when stocks get expensive, bonds get cheap. This maintains balance and reduces emotional risk. Option 2, a portfolio of 10 to 30 carefully selected stocks. Each stock must pass all 7 criteria, be selected calmly, be held long-term. No forecasting, no speculation, no market timing. Just buy sound companies at reasonable prices. What the defensive investor avoids. Graham warns defensive investors to avoid story stocks, unprofitable tech startups, huge growth projections, market timing, trading, high fear environments, high euphoria environments. The defensive investor never tries to predict recessions, forecast earnings, outguess the market. Instead, he focuses on, is the price right and is the business sound? If yes, buy. If no, wait. Why this method works. Graham proves historically, investors who apply these filters outperform the market. Risk is reduced dramatically. Downside loss is limited. Upside potential remains strong. Because most investors overpay for excitement. Few investors have patience. Value always wins in the long term. Graham trusts mathematics over emotions. As Graham says, investing is most intelligent when it is most businesslike. Emotional and psychological takeaway. This chapter teaches that most investors lose not because of lack of knowledge, but because of lack of discipline and patience. The defensive investor is proof that simple and consistent beats
complicated, and emotional. A portfolio built this way doesn't depend on genius, predictions, speculation, or luck. It depends on rules, restraint, margin of safety, and over a lifetime, that is more than enough.
Chapter 20. Mastering the Flow of Money, Living a Conscious Financial Life. In the final chapter of The Energy of Money, Maria Nemeth brings everything together, showing that the ultimate goal is not just earning money, managing money, or creating success, but living consciously with money as a flowing form of life energy that supports your highest purpose. Key themes of Chapter 20. 1. Living with financial integrity. Nemeth emphasizes that true financial peace comes when your behavior matches your values, your money habits align with your purpose, you consistently take conscious action. Financial integrity is not about perfection. It is about honesty, consistency, and awareness. This means keeping your promises around money, paying attention to where your money goes, saying no to spending that drains your life energy, saying yes to actions that empower your goals. 2. Money as a mirror. Money reflects your beliefs, your habits, your internal dialogue, your self-image. If you feel anxious around money, money will create anxiety. If you see money as a tool for growth, it becomes empowering. Nemeth teaches, money reveals the level of consciousness from which you live. This chapter encourages the reader to stop blaming money and instead examine themselves. 3. Moving from survival to service. Most people handle money from the survival level. Do I have enough? What if I lose it? How do I protect myself? But spiritually healthy money management moves to a higher state. How can I use money to make life meaningful? How can my work uplift others? How can financial energy help me and the world grow? When money becomes a vehicle for service, fulfillment arrives. 4. The flow of money. Money is always moving. You earn, you spend, you save, you invest, you contribute. Healthy financial energy means no stagnation, no fear-based paralysis, no unconscious leakage. Psychological blockages like guilt, resentment, and fear stop money from flowing. Releasing these emotions opens the channel again. 5. 3 financial mastery questions. Nemeth closes with 3 powerful questions to ask regularly. 1. Where am I now financially? Face reality without fear or denial. 2. Where do I want to be? Set clear, measurable goals, both material and spiritual. 3. What's the next small action? Forward progress comes from small commitments consistently fulfilled. Every time you follow through, confidence grows, resistance shrinks, life energy increases. 6. Taking conscious action. The chapter stresses you don't need perfect knowledge to start. You need movement. A conscious financial life is built through budgeting, tracking, planning, organizing, honoring commitments, increasing awareness. Little steps create big changes over time. Nemeth calls this right action in the real world.
7. Fulfillment over accumulation. The end goal is not a certain bank balance, a perfect investment portfolio, financial superiority. It is peace, purpose, meaning, self-expression. Money is the fuel, not the destination. 8. Money and spiritual growth. The chapter ties spiritual development directly to financial practice. Why? Because money demands discipline. Money requires self-honesty. Money forces us to confront fear. Money gives feedback quickly. Money magnifies inner reality. Therefore, money becomes a tool for awakening. When you master money, you master yourself. 9. Living as a creator, not a victim. Most people respond to money passively. I can't do anything about it. The economy controls everything.
Money is the problem. Nemeth insists, you always have choice. Even if resources are limited, you control your decisions, your attitude, your goals, your actions, your personal standards. Once you step out of the victim mindset, you regain power. 10. The final message. The chapter ends with a profound insight. You are not here simply to make money. You are here to express your talents, transform your inner potential into outer reality. Use money as a spiritual resource. Bring meaning and value into the world. When you do that, money becomes peaceful, supportive, flowing, balanced, and empowering. Chapter 20 Summary. This final chapter teaches that true financial mastery means being conscious and intentional with money, using money to support your life purpose, living in financial integrity, transforming fear into clarity, moving from survival to service, understanding that money reflects your inner world. The spiritual journey and the financial journey are not separate. They are the same path.
As we reach the end of The Energy of Money, Maria Nemeth leaves us with a powerful reminder. Money is not simply currency, wealth, or numbers on a bank statement. It is life energy, flowing through our lives and reflecting who we are. How we earn it, spend it, save it, fear it, or use it says far more about our inner world than most people ever realize. This book teaches that financial mastery is not built on luck, talent, or privilege, but on conscious awareness, aligned action, clarity, and integrity. Every financial decision is an opportunity to step into a more awakened version of ourselves. Every promise kept builds confidence. Every small action taken in the real world transforms inner potential into tangible success. Maria Nemeth shows us that money can be a source of stress or a source of peace. It can hold us back or lift us forward. It all depends on how we relate to it. If we bring honesty, courage, and intention to our finances, money becomes a partner in our growth, a tool for service, a mirror of our highest values, and a support system for our dreams. Through this journey, we learn that true wealth is not measured in accumulation alone, but in alignment, when our actions, goals, energy, and purpose all move in the same direction. So, as you walk away from this book, ask yourself, what is the next small action I can take? Am I living financially in accordance with my values? How can money serve not only my needs, but my meaning? Because lasting transformation doesn't happen in theory. It happens in the real world through consistent steps taken with clarity and commitment. May this book not just change how you handle money, but how you show up in your life, with purpose, integrity, and the courage to create the future you truly desire. Thank you for listening, and may the energy of money support your highest path ahead.